breaking news as the Prime Minister appears to be softening his stance against a royal commission as the political price for his refusal climbs into the stratosphere. Coming in the wake of other news that could shed more light on precisely why Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is being so stubborn, so obstinate, and I would say downright weak and cowardly in still so far not calling that royal commission into anti-Semitism in the wake of the Bondi terror attack. Now, for some weeks, we have suspected that Albanese did not want to call a royal commission because it might expose failings in his own government and the Labour Party, failings that include, among other things, the way Labour allowed Islamic radicalism to take root on its watch in outer suburban seats held by senior ALP frontbenchers, including Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke, and how the Prime Minister's own senior advisors were warned about the rising tide of anti-Semitism and how it had the potential to lead to violence, but did nothing about it. And how, again, under the Prime Minister's watch, anti-Semitism was allowed to fester within the Australian Labour Party itself, which again relies heavily on Muslim votes to retain power and which has adopted all the sensibilities of the academic activist left that believes Israel is an illegitimate settler colonial state. And just quietly, this same mob feels the same way about Australia, but that's another story. Well, now today, the news website The Nightly has broken a fascinating story just weeks before the Bondi terror attack. According to this report, the Australian Federal Police axed a national surveillance team set up under the Commonwealth high-risk terror offender regime because of, they say, a lack of funding. Now, according to reporter Andrew Green, quote, "The Nightly can reveal the decision to wind up the Canberra-based squad was made late last year after a senior AFP figure told staff current budget pressures and the lack of certainty in relation to ongoing funding has limited our ability to fill vacancies." In correspondence seen by the Nightly, team members were told consideration was being given to dissolving their group and funding for their positions would be returned to the AFP's Counterterrorism and Special Investigations Command, unquote. Well, this is absolutely shocking for a number of reasons, not the least being that in August 2024, ASIO lifted the terror threat to probable. Yet, according to this report, it would seem the AFP acted in something of an opposite direction, cutting funding from a counterterrorism program as the Albanese government's rhetoric turned in the direction not of Islamist terrorism, but in the direction of the far right and their radicalism. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. On the issue of funding, just days after the Bondi attack, the Prime Minister was asked whether agencies were getting the funds they needed and requested.
The threat level was raised in August last year. Mike Burgess said the threats are becoming harder to predict and identify. The drivers of radicalisation, grievance and extremism are growing and interacting in ways we've not seen before. If that's the case, should ASIO and the AFP have received more resourcing at that time? And if I could ask Commissioner Barrett, do you need more resourcing to adequately staff up your CT operations?
Fair question. And here's what the Prime Minister said in response.
Well, I'll make this point. ASIO has never had more funding than they have today under my government. And we have provided for each of the security agencies, including the ones that you mentioned, the AFP, ASIO, but also the Australian Signals Directorate that deal with some of this online and cyber issues as well, have never had more funding than they have today. And every single request from a security agency has been granted by my government.
Yes, every single request from a security agency has been granted by my government. Really, Prime Minister, so again then, why is the Nightly reporting that, according to correspondence it has seen from the Commander of Covert and Technical Operations, Intelligence and Covert Services, the AFP did not get funding for the full complement of agents it needed to maintain its national surveillance team?
There is record funding for the Australian Federal Police. Record funding. Those reports are not correct. I have full confidence in the Australian Federal Police and I think it's appropriate that we back them in the job that they do.
Well, that's what the Prime Minister was said today when he was asked about the story, and as you heard, he denied it. But you be the judge. But from where I sit, it's hard to see this as anything but another dereliction of duty by the Albanese government. I mean, this seems like the sort of thing the Prime Minister would hate to see coming out in a royal commission. And it further shows why the Albanese government has been so quick to try and turn the Bondi terror attack into an issue about guns or some sort of nebulous, generalized hate, or to try and tie it to right-wing extremism, rather than focus on what this really was, a terrorist attack by Islamist radicals that occurred on their watch when the AFP, according to this report, couldn't maintain a counterterrorism national surveillance program because it didn't get the cash it needed. Well, it is also why, even if Albanese has begun to soften his language as he did today about a royal commission, the damage is already done. Now, had Albanese acted right away and called that royal commission that everybody is now demanding, he would have been seen at the time, right after the attack, as a leader. Now, however, he doesn't look like a leader. He looks like a guy who is following, not leading, after weeks of trying to divert and divide rather than face up to the truth of his own inadequacy.